And that's where society is very confused, is that we're struggling because we think that our value is in our money, and yet nobody knows how much money anyone has. So a lot of people are posing that they have more than they do.
Today, we're going to be talking about money and how money shapes our reality, how it shapes our future, how it shapes our self-image, how it shapes our relationships, how it shapes our business, and so much more. So really quick, I met Garrett through several networks that I belong to, one being Mindshare. Recently, I was in Park City, Utah, and Garrett came and just blew us all away with his knowledge and his sense of humor and enlightenment around money. And I've also known Garrett through Genius Network, which is, as you know, where entrepreneurs connect and collaborate. And we've just gotten to know each other through various encounters and seeing him on stage, listening to his podcast, reading his books. And I've always loved his approach to life. So I want to get behind the man, behind the thinking that goes into the thinking of Garrett Gunderson. So welcome, my friend. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, it's good to be hanging with you, man. I would do this just without the recording going on. Just you're a very insightful, thoughtful, deliberate person, and you always make me feel better about myself when we hang out. So
I appreciate you, and thank you. I know how busy you are, so I want to make sure that we honor your time and also honor, your experiences.
This is my birthday today. It is.
Is it really?
I turned 64, so I feel like I'm looking pretty young. No, I turned 44 today. So people are like, "Are you working?" I'm like, "Well, I love what I do, and it's the 44th birthday. Not like it's I don't know. It's weird that we still celebrate birthdays, but I do like the best part of a birthday is you just get to connect with people that reach out to you that you haven't talked to for a while. Mm-hmm. It's an excuse to kind of get together. But yeah, so 44 today.
Happy birthday, man! Happy birthday. So I'm so honored to spend this day with you and spend this next few minutes with you. So I want to read your bio because when you submitted it to me, I read it. I was like, this is super awesome. This is super cool. And the world needs to see this side of you as well. So I'm going to read this verbatim, and you can all, as you're listening in, really see how you can connect with Garrett, because he is truly, truly a Renaissance man. So Garrett Gunderson is a modern day Renaissance man. Well, maybe. He's an Inc. 500 founder of a financial firm and amateur barista, a rookie fly fisherman and Wall Street Journal #1 bestseller, a public speaker who's delivered hundreds of keynotes, and a mediocre guitar player at home, a bow hunter, Traeger grill semi-pro, former CrossFitter, and he wants me to emphasize the former, we'll get into that, and a whiskey sommelier, which is real and is just as douchey as it sounds. But maybe the best way to know Garrett is from a few notes from his wife. Garrett is a man who can only drink tequila under supervision, a man who will stop at nothing to provide his wife food if she gets hangry, a self-preservation strategy, I might add, a dad who is totally cool with letting his sons go anywhere with him in any costume they may have on. In fact, he shares a story about how he dressed up like Spider-Man with his family and went around collecting. They were actually doing a neighborhood is safe door-to-door knocking. You guys did, right? So he's a man who can't fix a toilet, but can help you become financially independent so you can hire someone else to do it. A man who supports his wife's meditation, even if she's just sleeping. A brother who bailed his sister out of jail while almost going to jail himself in the process. I have to hear that story. A father who loves and adores his sons for exactly who they are. A son that loves his parents with all his heart. And a man who is loyal to his family and friends, but most of all, his values. Welcome again, Garrett. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's good to be here, man. Look forward to it.
So I want to hear about this. I want to hear more about this Spider-Man costume story. And I also want to hear about the jail story. So why don't we extract a little bit of that just so people can get to know you a little bit better?
So I have this client, his name's Trent, and we just finished this thing called the Awakened Spirit Retreat. We're up in the mountains, hiking, meditating, doing all this soul searching and personal work. And then he's just hanging out at my house afterwards. And My kids had bought me a Spider-Man costume that was too small, mind you, definitely didn't fit me. But they both had Spider-Man costumes. Said, hey, if you get your dad to wear his and go around the block, knock on every door and tell everyone the neighborhood is safe, I'll give you $100. So my kids were super committed at the time to $100. So I put it on, and I think it was more like I could have been Moose Knuckle Man more than Spider-Man. It was just riding really high. And there was one lady who left the chain on the door as she cracked it. We're like, the neighborhood's safe, and she immediately shut the door. But most of the time, people laughed as the three of us went around the block, and they earned their $100.
How old were your kids at the time?
They were probably like 5 and 7. It seems like they were 5 and 7. And actually, in my new book that's going to be coming out, I have that picture of me in the costume with those two. Definitely don't want to zoom in too much on it, but it shows that because I did this bio in the book. Yeah.
I was going to say I have to see that picture, but that also means I'm going to pick up a copy of the book. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not going to be out. It's turned into the publisher. It's been probably a 7-year process for this book. I think it's going to be my seminal work. Like my other books are very informative, and the information is very helpful, but this book is very in touch with like emotions and taking people on that journey as well. So you could learn in a different level of engagement. So like while I was writing it, was in this very room recently, just like calling my wife and like, oh, you got to hear this next, like, listen to this. And it's like, so I'm really excited about the work. I think it's really my intent behind it is to shape how we look at money and finance. And have this book be the type of work that Rich Dad Poor Dad was in its time, or The Millionaire Next Door in its time, or Financial Peace University or Total Money Makeover in its time. Like, it's time for a new conversation around money. And I believe this to be that conversation. I feel just gratitude that I was part of the process. I don't even know how some of it came to be. I just feel like it was almost bestowed. But it's definitely been my life's work. And I'm really, I don't know, I'm proud of it because I'm like, this is amazing. I'm learning while I'm reading. Like, I don't even know where it all came from, but it's pretty cool.
Excuse me for just a second. I know I'm interrupting your video, but it's because I'm really excited about this. Disrupting Sacred Cows, my newest book. It's new, it's fresh. It's about all of the things that have to do with our relationship to money, the things that hold us back, and how to, kind of peek into that, be able to resolve that. And ultimately, with the new economy and everything that's happening and moving so quickly, it is timely to help you to have more success in your finances. So go ahead and click the link if you want to grab this book and dive on in.
Well, it came from a higher source, right? And it's probably your higher source.
Totally accept it.
I would say it's 44 years in the making.
Definitely. And who knows, man, maybe it was other lifetimes and lessons that came through in those as well.
There you go. Yeah. Amazing. Well, so timely, right? Especially with everything that the world is going through, at least what we're supposed to be thinking about what the world is going through.
Well, you know what it's called?
What's that?
Money Unmasked. Money Unmasked.
Okay, I love it. That's the title of the book. Yes.
Title, yeah.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. I know there's lots that we can cover. And one of the first things I want to start with is, what is money? Let's come up with an operational definition from Garrett Gunderson. What is money?
It's a man-made tool of efficiency. Money represents value, but it's just a snapshot in time that counts for value that you created in the past up until this point today. That could include luck because of where you were born or how it was inherited. But for the majority of people, it represents your energy that you put out in the world because you either served someone, solved the problem, or added value. So money represents value, but it's not why you're valuable. And it doesn't dictate what you're capable of doing. So money doesn't reflect your potential or determine your destiny, but it's a way that we can tap into other people's abilities to be more efficiently connected to what we're doing.
I love that. That is such a inspiring definition of money and our relationship with it, because many people define who they are being so attached to their past.
Yep.
Versus understanding where they can go into the future. So that does make a lot of sense. And it's a much better definition of money than I think most people's definition of money is.
I think about like how even our definition of investing, looking at something that's kind of a cousin of this, has been so convoluted because in society, we're almost programmed that more is better. and that our investing should always be about growth. But what happens when that growth is to our own detriment because it's more than we can handle? Like if you buy too many pieces of real estate, or if you get involved in too many different cryptocurrencies, or you have too many stocks that you don't even relate to any of those businesses. And ultimately, the less related we are to those investments, the more risk we invite into our lives of not being clear about how we deliver value. That risk can become a downturn and we go, oh, and we start worrying about it and we're frustrated, which means when we're in worry and we're frustrated, we're not serving others, we're not solving problems, we're not at the best of who we are. And like when you meet me and you talk to me, you're not sitting there going like, oh, I'll talk to Garrett at the level of his net worth. Like, you don't know what my net worth is. I don't know what your net worth is. It's kind of like dick size. We don't really know. We're just kind of, pretend to know. And we act like the bigger is always the better. But you know what? Sometimes people with a big dick are just big dicks, and that's not always a good thing either. So it's this weird thing that even the stuff that we own, whether it's a car we drive, like I don't know where you live. I've never seen your house. I've never seen the car you drive. You've never seen my house, the car I drive. Yet we're connected in relationship without money being a deterrent of that, without money being a determining factor of why we're connected. We can simply be in intellectual ideas. We could be in just a love and gratitude for each other. And we can see each other for the moment that we're in, not the things that we have. And that's where society is very confused, is that we're struggling because we think that our value is in our money, and yet nobody knows how much money anyone has. So a lot of people are posing that they have more than they do, which creates a lot of jealousy and envy. And ultimately, we get in an addiction of trying to always grow at the expense of our personal growth, having so much that we can't even manage it, or being so attached to it that if it's fragile and doesn't do what we want, we start to identify as worth less, which is very similar to feeling worthless.
I'd love to.
That was a lot to unpack there, and I've never
Yeah,
said
it is. It's like, this is like a money meditation, right? It's really helping us reframe the way we think about, something that's external to us, but also how we attach value to ourselves. One thing I love about your attitude towards money is that it doesn't fully represent how valuable you are. And a lot of times we get caught up in how much money's in our bank account or what our investments are doing. Or if our money's being deflated for whatever reason, then our value is deflating with it, which, obviously is not an accurate self-image that we should have.
Well, here's the thing. If our money, like investments, at the time we're doing this, have been down, crypto's down substantially, the stock market's down quite a bit. Real estate's been up quite a bit, but it's starting to kind of, especially in Canada, there's been some major declines in some of the real estate prices. And so there's so many people that are determining their happiness on those factors. So here's the thing, if the cryptocurrency market goes down and your mindset goes with it, that might not have been the best investment for you. And if the stock market's down and you feel down about yourself, maybe that's not the right investment for you. Maybe what we really have to look at is, when I pay my acting coach to work with me, that's an investment. When I set up a studio that we're using right now, that's an investment. When I take a guitar lesson, that can be an investment because it's part of my one-man show. Or when I go to a writing course, that can be an investment. I think that we've been so addicted to investments are dots on a piece of paper that represent a number, and that number feels more concrete than the investment in a skill set. And that skill set, we're like, well, we got to have all this money over here because that determines our retirement. But maybe retirement's even a problem. Maybe what we're doing is we're giving up who we are and the best of who we could be for things outside of what we really want, because they add dots to a piece of paper and a bank account. And all of that is crowding out the best essence of our life. And it's really hard, because if I go, well, what if my acting coach is $500 a session, which he is, and it's like, but I don't see an immediate payoff. Investments can actually make us very short-sighted or so long-sighted that there's no space in between. So someone that puts money in an RRSP, they're waiting for 30 years before that pays off. There's a lot that's going to happen in their life. Yet someone that goes, well, I need to see an immediate return on this investment that I'm putting money in, because that's why they got it in the Bitcoin, not because they knew anything about it, but because other people are making money. They're so short-sighted. But there's this entire field of vision that exists in between in that space which is when I invest in becoming a better writer, when I go through personal development and therapy, when I spend time at my cabin in silence to just download and listen to my intuition, that space in between might take longer to develop, to become a comedian or to write a book at a deeper level. That might take time. And a lot of people don't have the patience because they're in fear of being behind and not being able to retire. And ultimately, they lose at life when they're only looking at that very, very long-term goal or very, very short-term goal. And everything in between is where the joy comes from. It's where the fulfillment exists. And yet we're either so impatient or we're so in daydreaming for the one day, someday, that we miss out on life. And to me, that's the message that I'm here to help provide. And not just a message, but as an example of living, of how I live. Like, I'm not buying more real estate. I have money to buy more real estate, but the reason I'm not buying more is I only buy real estate that I can utilize. So I bought this house. It doesn't cash flow because we don't rent it out to anyone, but it is a place that we love and we enjoy. I bought a cabin. We did put a podcast studio there. I do immersions, like 10 a year, where people hire me one-on-one, and that more than pays for the cabin and all the expenses associated with it. And I bought another one that we're going to make a music studio because I believe that music is this like most connected way to reach people. So I only want to buy anything else if it's going to be land in between those two cabins or something that really enhances my life. I'm not looking for an apartment building that I'm never going to go to. I'm not the best in the world at providing housing for people or thinking of unique ways that would be more valuable for those people that buy those apartments. And most people that invest in real estate don't think that way either. They just go, oh, that's going to make me more money. Okay, it's going to make you more money, but what's the amount of time and worry that you're going to spend in that? What could you have done otherwise with that money? And what aren't you doing in your life right now because you're waiting too long for something to pay off? So I find real estate isn't my most enjoyable thing unless I relate to it and I can utilize it. Otherwise, real estate to me becomes talking to property managers, maintenance people, attorneys, and bankers. And I got to tell you, that's not my favorite part of my life. So I'm in a weird place compared to most of the world where I'm like, I'm not looking for more. I'm okay with what I've got. And if I end up with more money, which I'm doing okay, I'm like, why don't I put that in my messaging? Why don't I put that in the reach of building a community? Why don't I put that in adding more value to the existing? And I look at my investments as books and companies that I'm part of and a vision and a message that matters to me. And I can see the impact and I can feel fulfilled, which means I never want to retire. I like writing. I like getting up and doing stand-up. I like connecting with relationships like you because I bring something intellectually to that conversation. And then you offer me to stay at your house when I'm in town. And I make sure to bombard you with the number of times to get you out to my comedy show when I'm there. But it's like, there's all these things that I look at in investments, and it's an investment in me as a human being and the connection I can have to other human beings because of that. I don't want to invest in mutual funds because I'm not connected to it. I don't want to invest in day trading because I don't think clicking a mouse is anything that excites me or matters in this world for that matter. So like a lot of it is we've really stopped making investing about people and we've made it more about product.
You know what I really like is comments. Even if they're harsh, even if it's making fun of my hair or how much I interrupt people. What I really appreciate is thoughtful questions in the comment sections that provide content and ingredients for me to share. Some of my favorite things to do. So if you want more, if you want something personalized to you, go ahead and type that in and click to this next video where I've done this for other people to give you an example.